Health and Welfare. We'll call this meeting to order. Madam Secretary, please take the roll.
Senators Coleman, Carter,
Here.
Arthur, Gannon,
Here.
Moon, Thompson Raider, Washington.
Here. 4. Yes, that's a quorum being present, we will begin the hearing. I would like to remind everybody to fill out a witness form and please talk into the mic so that we can hear what you have to say. Only those testifying before this committee will be listed as a witness in the committee record unless time constraints prohibit you from testifying. And we'll start with SB 1485, Senator Gannon.
Good morning, Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee. For the record, Senator Elaine Gannon, representing District 3, here to present Senate Bill 1485. Current law prohibits the sale, purchase, or dispensation of pseudoephedrine to the same individual in a 30-day period in any total amount greater than 7.2 grams. Senate Bill 1485 changes the total amount to 9 grams. I have a committee substitute which refers to the annual limit instead of a monthly supply. The committee substitute changes the max annual amount from 43.2 grams to 61.2 grams. This change would give approximately 8.5 months of relief as opposed to the current 6-month restriction. This bill, with the changes, still keeps Missouri more restrictive than the federal guidelines. I'm happy to answer any questions. I am sure there are experts behind me that can answer better.
Thank you, Senator. Are there any questions for the Senator? Seeing none, those to testify in favor of?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. Nikki Strong here to testify on behalf of Haleon. So basically what this bill does, Senator Gannon did a good job of explaining it. All it does is it changes the Senate committee substitute would change the annual limit of Sudafed, essentially, that you can buy for cold and allergy relief from the current 43.2, which provides about 6 months of relief, to the 61.2 grams that are in the bill. So there's a couple of things I want to point out here. First and foremost, Missouri's law on the sale of Sudafed or pseudoephedrine is the third most restrictive in the country. We are well above the restrictions required by the federal government. In fact, the federal government has no limit on the annual amount of pseudoephedrine that you can purchase, but does have a 9-gram limit per 30 days and a daily limit. So what our bill does is it proposes to keep the current statutory limit of 7.2 grams and instead then would increase the annual limit. The reason for this is twofold. First and foremost, the allergy seasons, as many of you may know, are pretty bad here in Missouri in cold season. You've got families that go in and you'll have a mom or a dad that'll go in to buy for the family. You quickly hit your limit. We believe that 8.5 months will get a family through the cold and allergy season, which is less restrictive than the 6 months. In addition, the FDA is expected to rule shortly that the phenylephrine, if I said that correctly, the PE ingredient that you see in a lot of these cold medications, they've determined that it's basically no more effective than the placebo. So a lot of these cold and allergy medications that you get, whether it's NyQuil or Sudafed or whatever, are now going to discontinue using that PE substance because it's not effective, and will instead resort to the PSE or pseudoephedrine instead of that for decongestion as you're going through cold and allergies. When this law was put into effect, the federal law, and then state law was put into effect, the intent was to cut down on meth labs in the country and in the state. Since this law has gone into effect, the folks that are the domestic meth labs are now getting their meth or their ingredients and meth from Mexico. So the incidence of the domestic meth lab incidents and busts have gone down from 13,657 in 2012 to approximately 402 in 2020. They can get it cheaper. The quality is better, supposedly. I don't know personally. That is now where the distribution is coming from. So we feel like this small increase in our state law, our limits in the state law, would go a long way to our families and cold and allergy sufferers across the state. So nothing changes. You still have to go. You have to sign for it. You still have to do everything you do. It just increases the limit, so hopefully you can get 8.5 months of allergy relief and cold relief rather than the 6 months. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for the witness? Nikki, we don't want anybody to think that you're here to give medical advice, right?
Right. Exactly.
We'll just make that clear.
Perfect.
Anyway, thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Next in favor? Seeing none. Any opposed? Seeing none. Here to testify for informational purposes only? Seeing none. Thank you, Senator. Any other comments you'd like to give before you?
Just thank you to the committee for hearing the bill.
Okay, thank you. All right, next we will go to HB2227. You are not Representative Kelly.
I'm not. I can explain what's going on, though.
Okay, I didn't want, tell us your name.
Yeah, Representative Josh Schrolbert, District
Okay.
8 in Clay County.
Thank you.
I was the co-sponsor on the bill, so I will be presenting the bill in Representative Kelly's absence that way.
Thank you.
So, House Bill 2227 passed the House 154-0. It is substantially similar to Senate Bill 862 in several ways. That the three parts of this bill, the money's held by the Children's Division, the federal benefits that are being held from foster kids, that is identical to Senate Bill 862. The placement of a child with like religious faiths, Senate Bill 1133, that was also included in Senate Bill 862, and it's now come back your way from our side of the aisle. The only thing that hasn't had a Senate hearing yet is the small clarification for abuse or neglect of a child, which is sections 568.060 and 578.421. That is something we're starting to see in a nationwide trend of people calling protective services just because they see kids playing outside in their front yard by themselves without an adult watching them. I added this. This was one of my bills that got added on this omnibus that I just wanted to clarify that if that is the sole reason and it is age-appropriate play going on, that parents have the right to let their kids play outside independently. So I'm happy to answer any questions the committee may have.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions for the witness or the sponsor? So sorry. Seeing none. Those here to testify in favor of?
Good morning, Madam Chair, and members of the committee. I wanted to thank you for hearing House Bill 2227. I'm here. My name's Madison Ekrit, and I'm here on behalf of Foster Adopt Connect. It's a nonprofit that serves foster and adoptive families across the state to help recruit, support, and retain high-level quality homes for kids and through training and wraparound services. And I appreciate you hearing this bill today because approximately 5% of children in the foster system are entitled to some sort of Social Security disability, survivor, or other benefits, which can amount to approximately $900 per month. And currently, the majority of states still have this common practice of keeping the kids' funds and applying them to their standard costs of care. But there's been a nationwide effort to fix this. Since 2018, 15 states have acted to initiate changes to the use of these federal benefits for foster youth. And since then, we've seen a variety of approaches and impacts, but this bill, House Bill 2227, includes all of the best practices that we've learned from across the state or across the country, including that the state may not use the benefits and assets of a child to offset their standard cost of care, and that money is saved in a way that doesn't jeopardize their asset limits of other benefits programs because it's saved through an ABLE account. And this is really important because foster youth have needs beyond what the standard care can provide, and being able to use their own benefits can be a difference maker in their success once they go beyond the system. And it's not only about conserving these benefits, but it's also about having them available for normalcy needs like braces or something like that that exceeds standard costs of care. And just to give you an idea what this amount of money can equate to is about $10,000 per youth per year, which can be about a year's worth of rent or 9 to 12 months of childcare for a 2 to 4 year old, or about 4 months of SNAP benefits. So it can really be a difference maker as people age out of the foster system. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anyone else here to testify in favor of?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of committee. My name is Robin Shelp, and I'm with Kids Win Missouri, and we want to go on record in support of House Bill 2227. Specifically, we really like the language related to children in foster care being able to keep their benefits, and I want to thank Senator Thompson Rader and Representative Hannah Kelly for sponsoring that language.
Nice, thank you. Any questions for this witness? Seeing none, thank you. Any others here to testify in favor of?
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Nikki Strong here on behalf of the Missouri Coalition for Children and Foster Care Adoptive Coalition. Just echo what all the others said, here to go on record in support of this as we were in Senator Rader's companion bill.
Thank
Happy to
you.
answer any questions.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you.
Madam Chair, members of the committee, Alex Eaton, representing the Center for Rights of Abused Children. We appreciate Representative bringing this forward, and Senator Thompson Rader for sponsoring this in the Senate. Also, it's been heard in this committee. It was part of 862 that's passed the Senate. So I will just echo what the sponsor and other witness said, but really appreciate this being brought before the committee.
Thank you. Thank you for your testimony.
Thank you.
Anybody have any questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you so much. Anyone else here to testify in favor of House Bill 2227? Anyone here to testify in opposition? Informational purposes only.
Morning. Ryan Conway on behalf of the Department of Social Services, Legislative Director. Just wanted to say thank you to Senator Rader and Representative Kelly. They, from when this bill was filed, they were really very receptive to the department working with us to make sure that this was everything that we would need administratively to make this successful. And so we just wanted to say, on behalf of the entire department and the Children's Division, thank you to Senator Rader and Representative Kelly for their willingness to work with us on this.
Thank you. Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you so much for your
Thank you.
testimony. All right, with that, any closing comments?
Thank you for hearing the bill.
All right. Next, we will go to should we go to executive session and then put it out if she comes? Okay. right, with that, I make a motion to go into executive session. Do I have a second? We are now in executive session. We are considering SB 851, introduced by Senator Brown, which modifies provisions relating to telemedicine. I now make a motion to take up Senate Bill 851. Do I have a second? Senator Washington seconds. SB 851 is now before the committee. Do you call the roll?
Senators Coleman,
I wasn't listening to the vote. Okay, so,
We had a second.
okay, we move, now we have to vote to do pass. So we've had the second to take up the bill.
Okay.
So we're here, so now we make a motion to
Okay.
do pass.
I now move to vote Senate Bill 851 do pass. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Senator Gannon seconds. This is a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Coleman, Carter,
Yes.
Arthur, Gannon, Moon, Thompson Raider, Washington. 5-0.
By your vote of 5-0, Senate Bill 851 has passed. We're now considering HCS House Bill 2227, introduced by Representative Kelly, which modifies provisions relating to the protection of children. I now make a motion to take up HCS HB2227. Do I have a second? Second. Senator Gannon seconds. HCS HB2227 is now before the committee. I now move to vote HCS HB2227 do pass. Do I have a second? Senator Gannon seconds. This is a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Senators Coleman, Carter,
Yes.
Arthur, Gannon, Moon, Thompson Raider, Washington. 5-0.
HCS HB2227 has passed. Okay, I'm now make a motion to go out of executive session. Do I have a second? Thank you.
Now we can stand at ease. She should be here in a few minutes to present her bill.
Okay, so we're going to stand at ease just for a minute while we wait for Representative or Senator Coleman to get here. Just should be just a few minutes. All right, we're back in, not session, but our hearing. Thank you, Senator Coleman, for coming. We hope you're feeling better.
Thank you so much.
Sorry to hear you've been sick.
Yeah, I thank you. I'm sorry. I'd hoped that, I'm sorry, for the record, Mary Elizabeth Coleman, representing the 22nd Senatorial District. It had been my hope that somebody else would be able to present Senate Bill 905, and I apologize that I'm running late. What I realized belatedly is that the Senate rules only allow someone else to present the bill if they have co-sponsored it, and right now there isn't a co-sponsor for Senate Bill 905, and I didn't want another week to pass. Frankly, I should have heard this bill when I got it a long time ago. I had always hoped that we'd be able to find the provisions that are included in it as part of an omnibus bill as it made its way through the process, and frankly, I lost track of it. This is Senate Bill 905, as you'll notice, is a low number, and it's my bill, and it's a committee that I'm the chair of, and so we're only doing this through a series of errors that I have made. There's 3 provisions that are in this bill that have been proposed in other years as well. Wanting to make sure that their SNAP benefits are eligible for those who've been convicted of a drug crime. Right now, Missouri is one of only 42 states that allows people who have a drug crime not to be able to be eligible for a lifetime ban on food stamps. Every other crime, including murder, you're able to be eligible for. And because Amendment 3 has become part of our Constitution, there are people in the state who have drug convictions for what is now legal activity who are prevented from using food benefits. That strikes me as not just mean, but bad public policy for a number of reasons. First and chiefly among them because it is the most transient of the benefits that are offered by that are administered by the states that are offered by the federal tax dollars. So what I mean by transient is I believe firmly that our social safety net should be a hand up, but not a trap. and that they should be benefits that are used for a short period of time. Food stamps is one of the few programs that is serving in that capacity. People are on it for a short period of time when they need it the most, and they're able to get out of it. Active recovery, people can be in for 20, 30, 40 years. So if they had a conviction for something that is now legal activity when they were 19 years old and they lose their employment and they need access for a temporary period of time, it seems strange to me that we are prohibiting that from being passed. And the majority of states have moved away from that. This became part of the law back in the 1990s as the war on the tough on crime. And unfortunately, this is one of those few things, that war on drugs policy, that hasn't shifted yet to reflect what we know now about active recovery. The other provisions that are in there are extending the anti-shackling provisions across not just the Department of Corrections, but into our other facilities as well where we incarcerate women. We know that in later parts of pregnancy, or the later term of pregnancy, women's balance can be affected by being pregnant, and we don't want women to fall. It does allow law enforcement officers to still shackle a woman if she is violent and they have a need to, but they would have to clearly document the reason for that. The last provision is requiring additional benefits for food and nutrition for incarcerated women who are expecting. We know that on average you need about 300 extra calories to 500 extra calories to support that growing life within you, and so this would allow extra nutrition for the women who are expecting. So with that, I apologize, I don't have my binder or my notes. All of these provisions have been filed previously, and I'm open to any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the Senator? Seeing none. Thank you for, is anyone here to testify in favor of?
Madam Chairman, I'm going to go stand over there because you hear that I sound terrible and I don't want people not to testify. If people want to use that microphone, I haven't touched it.
We were going to suspect that if nobody came forward that we might need to do that.
It wouldn't have bothered me at all, so it wouldn't have even occurred to me. Good morning. Jessica Seitz, Executive Director of the Missouri Network Against Child Abuse, formerly Missouri Kids First. I'm here to speak in support of the legislation, specifically on the provisions in 491 and 492 that are included in this bill. These provisions, as Senator Coleman said, have been passed. They've actually been passed out of this committee in several iterations. They're the ones that pertain to the admissibility of statements of hearsay statements related to physical and sexual abuse of children. This just expands an existing protection that is provided to kids under 14. It would extend it to kids 14 to 17. So just really excited for it to be included in another bill. I would love to see it go over the finish line again this year. The final finish line.
She paused. There was a pause.
Yeah.
Any
Pass the
questions
Senate.
for the witness? Seeing none? Thank you for your testimony.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Locke Thompson. I'm the Cole County Prosecuting Attorney here for the Missouri Association of Prosecuting Attorneys. Again, here to support the bill, specifically the provisions that were just mentioned in chapters 491 and 492. I would also add that one thing that this new bill does is to clarify that video or audio statements made of not just children but also vulnerable persons can be played in court at trial, something that would otherwise probably be inadmissible. And the unfortunate reality being that a lot of sex cases that we do see, the targeted victim is someone we would consider a vulnerable person, someone who may be just over the age of a child but who's operating at a diminished mental capacity for some reason. So just wanted to go on the record and support the bill, and happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your
Thank you.
testimony. Anyone else here to testify in favor?
Good morning, Madam Chair.
Fill out that witness form.
I will. And members of the committee, my name is Jeff Smith, and I am here in two capacities this morning. The first is formally representing Missouri Appleseed, which is a nonprofit organization that works at the nexus of public health and the justice system. We have worked over the last 5 or so years first to expand access to feminine hygiene products to all incarcerated women in the state of Missouri, and we thank some members of the committee who worked on that. And we also worked on the prison nursery legislation, which is now being constructed at Vandalia to provide a place for incarcerated women who are pregnant to remain with their children for the first 18 months of their babies' lives and then walk out alongside them. I'm also here as a board member of Keyway. Keyway is a nonprofit in the St. Louis region that's the largest provider of housing and wraparound services for women who are leaving incarceration in state facilities. So in both capacities, I'm here to testify in support of Senate Bill 905. We're extremely grateful to Senator Coleman for sponsoring the legislation. Hope you feel better. But thank you for making a real effort to come up and have this bill heard. The senator is correct that it has various parts of this language have passed in other capacities previously as part of House Bill 1777, which is currently over here in the Senate. This language has already passed the House. And just a little background on the shackling ban and the from in a broader context, President Trump sponsored this and championed this at the federal level in 2018 as part of the First Step Act. And so shackling has been banned in federal facilities for the Bureau of Prisons. Now, that doesn't cover that doesn't cover the DOC, but then the year after that, former Representative Gene Evans sponsored similar language and was able to get that done for Department of Corrections facilities, but of course that doesn't cover all the county jails throughout the state. And so what we're trying to do is extend that shackling ban to all those county jails. And this is something that's been part of ALEC's, all of you I'm sure know ALEC, their model legislation around the country. So we additionally are very supportive of the nutritional guidelines, which are in line with national physician guidelines. We want the mother and the child to thrive. Not a lot of people think about it like this because oftentimes when we think about people who are incarcerated, we think, out of sight, out of mind. But over 95% of people who are incarcerated in Missouri are coming back to our communities, and we want to make sure, and the Department of Corrections wants to make sure that they never see those people again. They want to provide them the tools to help them thrive. As Senator Coleman noted, most people are only on food stamps for a short amount of time. When I last checked, the average length was just over a year, and so these programs tend to be ones that people use to get back on their feet, and we want to facilitate that process. So we are supportive of all components of this bill, and with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none? Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to testify in favor of?
Chair, members of the committee, Jessica Petrie here on behalf of the National Association of Social Workers Missouri chapter and Feeding Missouri, which is the coalition of our state's food banks. We want to specifically go on record in support of the provision about removing the SNAP disqualification. We know that when individuals are reintegrating into the community, they need the foundational supports, and food access is pivotal to that. And there was a Harvard Law study that found that access to SNAP benefits actually reduces recidivism by about 10%, because when you have those foundational needs met, people are able to reintegrate into the community more successfully. So appreciate the senator's work on this.
Thank you. Any questions for the witness? All right.
Morning, Madam Chair, members of the committee, Chairman LaFavor, appearing today on behalf of Empower Missouri, and we'd like to go on record in support.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any questions for the witness?
Good morning, committee. Kurt Wickmer with the Missouri Catholic Conference. I'd like to go on record in support. We appreciate any additional precautions given in taking care of our Missouri mothers. And to add on to what the senator said regarding food stamps, We also think that changes like this in the law will lower the likelihood of an offender reoccurring through a quote-unquote crime of necessity. So I'd like to thank the senator for coming out here today to present the bill, and I open myself up for questions.
Any questions for the witness? Seeing none, thank you for your testimony. Anyone else here to testify in favor of?
Madam Chair, members of the committee.
There's a surprise that just walked in.
Alex Eaton, representing Justice Action Network. We would like to go on record in support of Senate Bill 905, specifically the lifting of the SNAP ban. Happy to take any questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions? Seeing none, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to testify in favor of the bill? Anyone here to testify against the bill? Anyone here to testify for informational purposes only? All right, seeing none, we'll conclude our hearing. Thank you very much.